Alright guys, today marks the first day. We're going to start here on the dog run. It is a little bit narrow. We've got about 4.5 feet between wall and actual wall, between the bricks and the stucco I should say. So we're going to go ahead and get started by laying in our leach fields for the actual dog run to help catch some of the drainage and pull it away from the house so we don't have to worry about the pet odor. So we're going to start off by coming in here. We're going to level some of this out. We're going to put in a cinder block so it'll help hold our piping and everything together and in a straight line. So alright, so we've gone ahead and marked out where we want the brick to actually, the cinder block to sit, where we're going to have our drainage pipes going through. We've got some fine coarse sand in here we're going to throw in. We're going to level that out. We'll come over here and we'll use the 8-inch tamper that we have to tamp that down and make sure it's all nice and level. So we'll get started here and we'll show you the finished product. Alright, so as you can see, we got our first cinder block put into place. We are perfectly 5.5 inches from the wall over here, which is the size of our retaining wall bricks. You can try to get down in there. You can see that it itself is nice and level. So we'll go ahead and fill it and compact it with sand around the edge of it, and then we'll start leveling off for the retaining wall bricks to be put in. Alright, as you can see, we've got the first row of blocks put in here. Made sure they've gone in nice level, tight across the entire thing. We've got our first block cut. And here in a little bit I'll show you how to properly score and break down a retaining wall block here with a chisel. Saves you a lot in buying special power tools for it. So we've got our 2 openings here. That is where our actual drainage pipe is going to go. It's going to feed along the back here. So we'll get started on finishing up the rest. Next, what we got to do is come out and figure out our placement of the middle block for additional support for the tube going down and just helping it keep nice and straight. So we'll go ahead and we'll put down some stakes here, put our twine out to the distance we need to do. We've got a level for our twine as well. We want to make sure it has a slight slope so that we have proper drainage from the backyard to the front yard here. Alright, so I don't know how well you can see it here, but I've got some simple rebar stakes that I've made, taking a simple grinder with cutoff wheel. We live in a construction area where there's lots of scrap rebar from when they do the wall, so I go and grab some out of their scrap piles and cut them down. Works a lot better than the wooden stakes. I'll have some wooden stakes and I'll show you why they fail, especially bad out here in New Mexico with the wind. So we've gone through, we have our pink fluorescent line. We've gone through and made sure that it has a nice slope to it. Again, we want to make sure we have proper flow to the front yard from the backyard with water. Gone through and we've got a nice little string level you can pick up at Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon. Pretty inexpensive. I think they're like 15 bucks. Placed it on our string, made sure that we have a nice slope going from the mid here. And we have our placement. Let's see. Here, again, we're half our brick size, so we're 5.5 inches from the actual retaining wall to the side here for splitting the property. And then what we've gone through is marked our stake here, again, piece of cut off rebar, at 15 feet. So we know our block needs to be halfway here. And we know at the string, we want the top of our block right there level with that piece of string there. Making sure, again, nice, even, progressive slope all the way to the back. Alright, as you can see, we got our mid cinder block put in. So we're going to make sure, again, nice and level. And as you can see here, we do kind of a pile up of dirt, so we're going to have to come through and scrape this out real good where the actual pipes are going to lay, so we can make sure they lay nice and flat and we get a nice proper drain in. So okay, so next we're going to teach you guys how to score and split our retaining wall blocks. So for this one, we are going to measure out 9 7/8. That's how much room we need. And then 7/8. Once we have our ticks, we'll go ahead and make that nice straight line. So we know exactly where we're cutting. Go ahead and flip the brick. Do the same thing on the other side. Go ahead and mark it into 9 7/8. And we're choosing this brick here because it's got this ugly bash corner, so we're going to go ahead and cut that. or split I should say, since we don't have our power cutting tool. So now that we have our marks there, now what we're going to do is we're going to go in, mark our sides, make sure they line up nice and straight. And the same thing on the final side. In frame for you. Let's go ahead and mark our lines. And as you can see, we've got our brick marked all the way across. Next, what we're going to do, make sure we're wearing glasses, and we're going to go all along our lines, and we're just going to score it. Alright, as you can see here, we got our final brick cut, split, whatever you want to call it here, and laid in nice and level. Now we're going to go through, add our second tier. Alright guys, got all of the pavers put in. I have room over here, so I think I might actually grab some extra pavers. I have an extra one, so I might grab an extra 2 or 3. Make some nice stairs over here on this side. But really just blown away at how good that looks. Really does. And again, we'll come through and we'll dig this out. Make room for our pipes. We'll cover that in a little bit. But look at that. Nice and tight. Nice tight corner over here. And just goes to show you can do it all with hand tools if you're willing to put in the elbow grease. No need for expensive tools. Don't go out and buy a special saw. Wow. Really looks good. Minus all that gravel or dirt there in the gravel, but looks good. Alright, as you can see, we've gone through, put up a temporary barrier using our metal edging that we'll be using for the dog run. This is just to help the dirt so we can come in and slope it and fill it with this nice dirt before we put down our weed barrier. We've gone through and made sure that our irrigation pipes fit in our ditch here. And what we'll do now is we'll go through and we'll start raking out the dirt, fill everything in. Then we'll throw down our weed barrier. Once we have our weed barrier down, we'll put out irrigation, and then at that point we're just waiting to grab our soil, or not soil, it's a gravel and sand mixture to help for proper flow of water underneath the actual dog run. Make sure that we don't have any standing urine for too long. So let's get started. Okay, we've got everything kind of raked out here at a pretty consistent slope all the way through. Our little temporary retaining wall worked. So now what we'll go through is we'll come through here with the tamper everything down, make sure it's nice and compacted, and make sure we have solid base, and then we'll look at getting the fabric, landscape fabric, down to get a nice weed barrier in. Alright, so it's kind of hard to tell because of the lighting. There's no real way to get good lighting over here. We've gone through, wetted the soil, compacted everything down, wetted the soil to aid with the compact, tampered everything down one time, and now we're going to go back over it with the soil being damp now, tamper it down again, make sure we get that real nice and compact. Alright, as you can see, we've gone through and we've removed our temporary barrier. We've got a nice little slope going in. So next step is going to be coming through and laying down our weed barrier fabric, tacking that down, and then laying in our irrigation pipe. Let's get to it. Alright, so we have our weed barrier tacked on the end. Next step is just going to be to roll it out and tack it as we go. Trying to place tacks every, I want to say foot, just because I don't have a ton of them. If we need to get more pins, we'll get more pins, but we'll go ahead and start getting everything pinned into place. Alright guys, we have our landscape fabric down. You'll notice all along the right side here we don't have any. Landscape fabric comes in about 4-foot wide rolls. We have 4'8" over here. Now everything along this wall is pretty much concrete underneath it, so I'm not really too worried about weeds coming through. And looking good. Next step is just to go ahead and lay down our drainage. And then once we have that done, we kind of have to take a pause to the weekend, or we're going to be getting all of our infill rock, which is going to be a mixture of gravel and sand to help with drainage. We'll see you guys later.